The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Callum Lang is out for up to 3 months. That's the latest news on the popular Pompey forward, John Mousinho explains.
Yeah, it's okay. We had that second opinion, as I said last week on the scan. There were 2 different routes we could have taken. Route number 1 was to leave it as it was and rehab it as we had originally planned, which would have been 4 to 8 weeks. The problem is, at the back of that, the risk of injury still would have probably been a bit higher than it would if we hadn't gone down the route that we've gone down, which is for surgery. COM4, so the recovery time is going to be a bit longer. We're now looking at more like the 8 to 12 week mark, but the risk of re-injury is significantly reduced. So we took the advice as a whole. Callum made the decision, and I think it's the right one.
So there will be Christmas lights up across Portsmouth before Callum Lang is back on the pitch. It's a blow. No matter how positive John Mousinho tries to be about it, it is a blow. He's one of our key players. Josh Murphy, Colby Bishop, Connor Shaughnessy, Connor Ogilvie, these are our first team picks, nailed on players. Now, Segicic, of course, joins those ranks. We're lucky to have him to stand in for Lang, but Lang has had such an impact and been so successful and scored so many goals, as well as disrupt so many of the opposition's attempts to bring the ball out from the back four, that there's only one Callum Lang, and we won't see him again until we've started to write our Christmas cards.
Moving to Fratton Park was not exactly a difficult decision for Josh Knight to make. The centre-back became the latest addition to John Mousinho's ranks when he signed from German outfit Hannover 96 last week. He adds more championship experience to the squad, having previously featured at this level for both Wycombe and Peterborough. And Knight felt the size and drive of the club meant it was an attractive destination for the next stage of his career. The 27-year-old said, "I'm absolutely delighted. This is a new chapter for me and my family, so I can't wait to get going. It's been tough because I've had to move my whole life back to England, and the commute was a difficult one. I'm absolutely delighted. This is a new chapter for me and my family, so I can't wait to get going. But this is a big and ambitious club that's moving in the right direction. You'd be stupid to not want to be here. The style of play is one of the reasons that attracted me, and the gaffer showed me how I fit into his plans. But there is also the fan base here, and I know just how difficult it can be to come and play at Fratton Park." Knight made 24 appearances for Hanover last season, helping them secure a mid-table finish in the second tier. He said, "I loved my time in Germany. It was something different for me, and the fans were amazing. The place will always be part of my life, because my son was born there. I scored a last-minute equaliser in the derby, which made me a bit of a hero, and I have nothing but good things to say about Hanover. But this move is right for my family, and I've never lived by the beach before, so I'm looking forward to getting settled in and taking the dogs to the sea."
We've had a number of players arrive at Fratton Park and tell the press and fans that the reason they decided to join Pompey was largely because they talked to the man they like to call the gaffer, and the gaffer impressed them with his plans for the club, the way he wanted Pompey to play, and where the player would fit into John Mousinho's plans for the way he wants Pompey to play. So what can that be? He likes to play his cards close to his chest, and although he is as big a fan of transparency as everybody else is, there are certain things that he needs to keep closely guarded secrets. And the way that Pompey play, the way they're going to start setting up, is almost certainly one of those top secret plans. But can we get some insight into what that way of playing may be from certain insights into John Mousinho as a player and John Mousinho as in transition from playing through being a player coach to being a head coach, and now I think we all call him a manager because I think he manages the club, certainly the playing side of the club. No, so spool back to the 16th of February 2019. You see, we've been busy. Spool back to the 16th of February 2019, Peterborough are playing Oxford. It's at Oxford. And in the starting lineup for Oxford, they have their centre-back, John Mousinho, playing left-sided midfield. Yeah. And for Peterborough, they have centre-half Josh Knight playing left-back. Now, we've heard John Messino talking about versatility and the importance of flexibility, and we've speculated on Pompey Sound that he may be working towards having a squad of players, most of whom, not all of whom, but most of whom are adaptable, can play in different positions, not just in the starting 11, so that a player would start, say, left-sided midfield, but could start at left back, and when it became apparent that he wasn't needed at left back, then he could easily become a perfectly competent left-sided midfield player, or even go beyond that and become an attacking left-sided player. Versatility is one of the things that John Messino appears to be looking for in players, and it appears to be something that he himself boasted when he was a player. He could play at right back, he could play centre back. He's always been touted to us as being a former centre back, but here he is playing against Josh Knight at left back with John Messino as a midfield player. And if you dig deeper into Josh Knight's CV, you will see that he can not only be a centre half, and a good one, so we've got 5 centre halves, he also clearly plays left back. And, he says, he also plays central midfield. So we've got another player now on our books who can play in any number of positions. And if it means that what with all these injuries that everybody keeps getting, but we're no exception, we're down to the bare bones, either at centre-back, left-back or holding midfield. We've got a player who can play in any one of those positions. So this is the player, the Pompey player of the future, somebody who has got 2, 3, maybe more positions. And does John Messino remember playing against Josh Knight when it was Peterborough versus Oxford in February 2019? Almost definitely not. But in researching the man, Knight, who became available for transfer, they would have put together an identikit of the fact that he is a player who can be first team pick at left back, centre back or central midfield. Just what the doctor ordered.
It's the final week of the transfer window and 3 players on Pompey's books are in a state of limbo. There have been no announcements suggesting that Matt Ritchie's projected move to Reading have advanced, nor news of interest in Tom McIntyre. But by far the most perplexing scenario is the smoke and mirrors that surround ABDOULAYE KAMARA. KAMARA arrived at Fratton Park to great excitement in August 2024, signing from Borussia Dortmund, for whom he made 50 appearances for their second 11. In his solitary 5 appearances for Portsmouth, KAMARA impressed many with his command on the ball, imposing physique and high-quality tackling. Originally a product of the Paris Saint-Germain academy, he played for their under-19s in 2021, despite being 3 years younger than the maximum age for the team. He's still only 20, and allegedly has hardly been seen by the Pompey setup for weeks, having reportedly been given permission by John Messino to spend time in Paris. When he signed his contract with Pompey, it was a 4-year deal, and Dortmund received an undisclosed fee. The reason or reasons for his fall from grace, from being a cherished prospect to becoming allegedly the invisible man, may never be made public.
Yeah, he is really almost gone and almost forgotten as well, which is a shame in one respect, because when he came on, he really did look as though he had the potential to blow the championship away. He had the lot. We didn't see any great speed from him, but apart from that, he was 6'1", he was robust, and yet he was skillful. And I saw players, I swear, standing off him when he had the ball. They didn't want to take the risk. So he, I thought, had real international potential. I got that wrong, obviously. Or perhaps he just didn't settle. Perhaps he simply didn't like it here. Perhaps he got homesick. He went back to France and spent the summer in France, which was where he was brought up. He's not French, he's Guinean, and I think he's already been capped by Guinea. That doesn't mean to say he couldn't play for France, having spent such a long time there. And it looks from the fact that he wanted to go back to France this summer and clear his head or whatever, that he is French in spirit. And we should never underestimate the effect that homesickness can have on a young person, not just students going off to university and then phoning on the 3rd weekend that they're there to say that they want to come home. and have to be persuaded, if possible, to stay until Christmas, and then they finally discover that they like it. But it's quite possible that in his case, he simply didn't like being somewhere else. Brought up in Guinea, played his football to begin with in France, then played his football in Germany, and then he found himself possibly bewildered by the bright lights of Portsmouth. It will remain a mystery unless somebody spills the beans as to why we couldn't hold on to him. And if it's John Messina who does that, then we know that we will get the truth, most of it, at least, and it will be done in a big-hearted way.
Hull boss Sergei Zakirevich has spoken about impending Abu Kamara exit. Hull are currently working on a one-in, one-out transfer policy amid strict transfer conditions imposed on them by the EFL that prevents them from paying a transfer or loan fee for 2 windows. Zakirevich says, "We must take somebody in that will be one of our first 11 or first 13 players, which is something that we always try and do," the Croatian told Hull Live. "It's difficult. I don't want to lose Abu Kamara, but this is the only solution, and Abu wants to go to Getafe. This is also his wish. Of course I understand this, because a football career is very short, so you have to try at least to play on this level." Zakirevich added, "We need a midfielder for sure. Now we need a winger if Kamara is off, but we expect Mohamed Baloumi and Liam Miller back, so we will see." Kamara wasn't named in Hull's matchday 20 for their 3-0 defeat to Blackburn Rovers on Saturday, a result that leaves them 15th in the standings on the same points as the Blues. Instead, it's understood that the winger was in Madrid on Friday to undergo his Getafe medical. Confirmation of his loan move to the Spanish capital is expected any time soon.
It had been a fine dream for most of the summer, hadn't it? That we would have Josh bombing down the left, Colby Bishop and Lang in the middle waiting for it, and Abu Kamara bombing down the right, then maybe cutting inside and letting one go with his fantastic left foot. It's not to be. We wish him well, of course. We enjoyed dreaming that was going to be our front line, but it's over. The dream is over, and he is off to Spain to ply his trade at the top level in Spanish football. Good luck to him.
Pompey beat Plymouth 2-1 in their opening group game of the Premier League Professional Development League Cup. Joel Tolcher had given the visitors an early lead at Copner Road, only for the young Blues to level straight from kick-off. Bo Mullins sent a pass down the line for Theo Singer, whose cross to the back post was converted by Julian Corsa. And the turnaround was complete shortly after the interval, as when Chinedu Agu's delivery was not met cleanly by Fraser Thomas, the ball fell kindly for Jermaine Osifo to finish from a few yards out. Lead professional development phase coach Sam Hudson said, "Only the top side in the group goes through to the next stage, so it was imperative that we won our first game. Finding a way to triumph when we're not at our best is probably the most pleasing thing, while we reacted well to conceding the opening goal by immediately levelling. Finding ways to win is a skill if you want to progress as a footballer, particularly in cup matches, where we put more emphasis on the result. Some of our pressing was encouraging, but just like in the league on Saturday, we're not getting any rewards for that currently. There were also some good moments from us when we defended deep as a block, but Plymouth had far too much of the ball for our liking. We were so careless in possession, misplacing far too many passes and not providing angles for other players. There was too much negativity, and when we had Teo and Dane both on the pitch, we didn't get the ball forward to them enough. We just have to be better on the ball because we can't always rely on our defending to help us through games. However, finding ways to win is a skill if you want to progress as a footballer, particularly in cup matches where we put more emphasis on the result."
So well done to the academy, who are starting to get results and also starting to catch the eye with a number of the youngsters coming through, being valued by John Messina for good reason. There's just one thing I want to say, and that is I know that Sam does a wonderful job with the academy, but there are occasions when here, for example, he says, "We were so careless in possession, misplacing far too many passes and not providing angles for other players." And the very next sentence is, "There was too much negativity." Do you see my point?